Oktoberfest is upon us. Now tonight, not only will we be drinking some Oktoberfest, but we're also going to be talking about some of the fun facts that maybe you or I didn't know about. Let's get into it. A little bit different setup tonight for Half-Ass Beer Review. No reviewing, no ratings, just drinking some Oktoberfest, talking about it. Oktoberfest is someplace I would like to go, to Munich, Germany, for the celebration. I know right now with my wife in school and working, me working, and the kids, it's just not in the book. Might have to start pinching some pennies and planning out years in advance so I can get there and raise a liter of beer. Although I think their liters are a little different. Maybe. I really don't know. I have some Erdinger beer, Oktoberfest, that I got from my mother. Now, there's Fest beers and then there's Marzens. This one doesn't really say, or if it does say, I can't read it because it's in German. So, okay, what do we have? Wheat beer, Weissbier, Hefeweizen, Cerveza de Trigo. Yeah, so still, I'm hoping it pours out that ambery dark gold color because those are my favorites. And then I have this Paulner mug, which is actually in Munich. I got this in a gift set. Like a couple years ago, they used to do these gift sets where a big old can came in this glass, and it was a Fest beer. It was lighter, but I was like, I gotta get this mug so I can use it once every year or every other year because it's been a couple years since I actually used it. First off, I'm gonna fill these up, and these are 1 pint, 0.9 ounces. This is 0.5 liters. So here we go. And this is definitely a Fest beer because it is light, very light. And the Marzens that I love so much are usually just a darker color. They're an amber ale, basically. And I'm giving it the hard pour, hence all the foam. So now it's going to be a waiting game for the foam to die down before I can start pouring this second beer. So that's cool. Who would have thought that? So this is a liter mug, right? And that was half of a liter in the can. And I filled that sucker up with foam. And there's only so much little liquid on the bottom. But hey, that's the curse of doing the hard pour. Lucky for me, I'm patient when it comes to beer, so I can wait. So I think it's died down enough to where I can start pouring again. Probably not. I'm probably going to have to stop. Like I said, I'm patient, but maybe I'm not patient enough. But we're getting there, right? Slowly but surely. Just hope the beer doesn't get too warm before I actually get to drinking it. Come on, a little bit more. Can I get it in? All right, so the mug here is a little more than a liter, but we got it up there. I think by the time the head dies down, it'll probably be up to this line. So maybe that's what the liter marker is on here. It's just this line right here. And that just gives me room to put my mouth up to it without making too much of a mess. So I know we're all excited to get into these Oktoberfest facts. So without further ado, Prost. Ooh, that is delicious. Okay, all right. Shout out Erdinger for this delicious Oktoberfest. These are two. It was a 4-pack that I was given, so I got 2 more to enjoy after this. All right. So fact number 1: Oktoberfest. It's not October, right? Well, it originally started in October, and it wasn't even a festival at all. We'll get into that in a little bit. But the reason it moved from October to September is the weather. The weather, the longer days, it makes for a lot better time. More people will come out to it if the weather's good and it's not raining or getting dark really early. Because once it starts getting dark early, let me tell you, I get tired. Maybe it's just because I'm old, but I get tired as soon as it starts to get dark out. Moving on to fact number 2. Only beer brewed in Munich is served at Oktoberfest. Paulner is one of them. Erdinger is not. It's brewed in Bavaria. So is Erdinger, which is one of my favorite Oktoberfests. Comes in a little bottle. That thing is delicious, but that's brewed in Bavaria as well, so you don't get it at Oktoberfest. The 6 actual official brewery participants of Oktoberfest are Lowenbrau, Spaten, Hofbrau, Augustiner, Hacker, Schor, and Paulner. Now, what makes them so special? They follow the Bavaria purity laws, and I'm sure there's some politicking and money thing going on with all of it, because Erdinger, they also do, and so does that Erdinger brewery. But the Bavaria purity laws, wow, I'm starting to talk fast, so I'm starting to mess up my words. But to follow those laws, there's 3 ingredients only in your beer: barley, hops, and water. And that's pretty cool that you can make something so delicious out of just 3 simple ingredients. So my goal is to have this beer gone by the time I get to the last fact. I don't know if I'll be able to do it. I'm thinking there's a good chance because this beer is delicious. All right, moving on to fact number 3. Fact number 3 is all about the origins of Oktoberfest. Now, Oktoberfest, like I said, wasn't a beer drinking festival. It was originally the celebration of the wedding of Prince Ludwig and Teresa of Saxe-Hildburghausen in 1810. Now, this was a big old festival, and it ended actually with a horse party. Hey, Josh, what the hell's a horse party? Good question, inner monologue. I'm wondering the same thing. And actually, for everybody out there, a horse party is just a big old horse race, which 40,000 people were attending. But I guess you could call it a party if it just rolled from Oktoberfest into the horse race. So moving on to fact number 4, in the 214 years, it's only been canceled 24 times. Now, actually, us recently in the last 5 years going through the COVID-19 epidemic or pandemic or whatever the hell you want to call it, yeah, things get canceled. And this only being 24 times, and it's only due to cholera epidemics and war. So when war's going on, the last thing you're really going to do is get in a tent with a bunch of other people and start drinking and playing loud polka music, because they're going to know where you're at and they're going to drop some bombs on you. Fact number 5, and this one I already knew, maybe I just kind of forgot about it. I remember reading about it before, but Adidas, right, they produced vomit-proof specialty sneakers. You can only imagine if Adidas is like, hey, we need to make some vomit-proof sneakers, that there's probably a lot of vomit flowing around that place. Sold out really quick, and I don't know if they've ever made new ones, but it would be cool to get my hands on a pair of those. Number 6, locals just call it Weizen. Now this has to do with Teresa Weizen, which is the name of the land where it's held. So I guess Munich was originally called Teresa Weizen, and also for Teresa, the princess who was married to Prince Ludwig. Now there's something called the Old Weizen, which I think is the same area, same time, but maybe just like separate. But that's where more of the tradition, like the costumes, the dancing, and the music and all the stuff, that it's more focused on that than it is the actual partying, which that's why people go to Oktoberfest. So there's still a little bit of tradition being held on to, and that is called the Old Weizen. Number 7, nobody raises the mugs until, and I haven't been drinking after all these facts, which I wanted to do because now I'm behind, but nobody raises their mug until the mayor says so. This is since the 1950s. But in the main tent is where the first keg is officially tapped as part of like the opening ceremonies. And the mayor taps the keg and he says, "Oh, zaptis," which means it's tapped. And then he offers the first mug to the president or the prime minister or whoever the hell is in charge of the ceremony, or the top dog is there at the time. So on the 21st of September at noon is when the mayor taps the first keg. And this is what the song September from Earth, Wind & Fire is all about. He's going to his Earth, Wind & Fire going to Oktoberfest and watching the mayor tap the keg. So if that were true, I'd be surprised. All right, so number 8, this one's kind of weird, but you know, like the lederhosens and the costumes that people wear, and they got like the cool hats. Well, I guess the hairier the hat, the more wealthier you are. And the hair that's on the hat, at least their traditional hats, I guess, is goat hair. So that's pretty cool. I wouldn't have any hair on my hat, just like I don't have on my head. So moving on to number 9, actually, this isn't a very cheap event. Yes, it's free to get into, but if you want to start drinking, it's about 10 euros per beer. So come with your American Express if you plan on having a lot to drink. And beer can be bought in the tents from 10 a.m. till 10:30 p.m. on the weekdays, and 9 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. on the weekends. So on the weekends, you get to start drinking beer an extra hour earlier. Now, this one is very cool, but in 2018, they drank over 7.5 million liters of beer at Oktoberfest. And this is insane. And in 1910, on the 100th anniversary of Oktoberfest, over 120,000 liters were poured, which is about the equivalent to 15,000 bathtubs full of beer. Now, I don't want to imagine putting beer in a bathtub. And I just did. And that's pretty gross. Now, number 11, the beer is brewed specially for Oktoberfest. That's why this time of year, all the Oktoberfests are coming out. Their lagers, their Marzens, their amber ales, yada, yada, yada. But they're brewed extra strong. Now, here, I was misconceived by this because I thought they brewed these fest beers for the festival so people could slam the beers, drink more, and take longer to get intoxicated. But I guess they just served them the good stuff the whole time. I really don't know. And I don't think I will know until I talk to somebody who's been there or till I go there myself. So I might just wait till I go there myself. Number 12, around 600 to 800 people suffer from alcohol poisoning every year. That's almost 1,000 people are just drinking themselves to near death. I don't even want to look at the numbers of how many people have died at Oktoberfest. I'm sure it's got like the Disney veil where it's like, no one's ever died at Oktoberfest. We just drag them over to the next street and that's where they died. You know what I mean? So, so many people get sick. So many things happen that actually, number 13, the Red Cross has a tent at the festival to take care of those people. So here's a picture of one of the tents from the festival. And you're thinking, oh, that's a lot of people, right? Because they're packed in there, right? But number 14, there are 14 of these tents at the festival, 14 of these beer halls. The Schottenhammel is the most popular one because that's where the mayor taps the first keg. And then the biggest one is the Hofbrau Fest Hall, which seats over 11,000 people. So 11,000 times 14. Let's just say they're all 11,000. That's a lot of people. Number 15, it's the coolest fact is there's a wine tent there too. So moving on to number 16. Yeah, 15, we'd had to glance over that one, right? I like wine, okay, but if I'm going to Oktoberfest, I'm not going to be drinking any wine. Maybe the wife want to go into that tent. Number 16, and this is my favorite. Listen, I love beer, but you get me around food and I'm a different kind of human being, especially after a few drinks. I can eat a lot. I think there's something wrong with my brain where it doesn't tell, my stomach and brain don't communicate when I'm full. So I can just eat and I can eat and I can drink and I can eat and I can drink and I can eat and I can drink. But number 16 is there are 140 restaurants and food stands at this event. So we're talking schnitzel, pretzels, sausage, sauerkraut, all the things a growing drinking boy needs to maintain his buzz and not die at Oktoberfest. So earlier I was talking about the times, how they start at like around 10 o'clock and they end at 10:30. Well, that's just the 14 big tents. There are actually after parties where everybody goes to. And Europe, I mean, they're up pretty late. We've been in Europe before and I remember being up late, like a lot. And there's people all around everywhere. I mean, and not so much in like the living areas, but where there's things, there's just a lot of people everywhere. Like, it's crazy. A lot different from like how things are here, or maybe not because now I never go out. And if I do, I'm home fairly early. So moving on to 18. Now I know what you're thinking. When you look up Oktoberfest, all you see are people drinking these big, massive beer halls, waitresses carrying all these things, stein hoisting contests, right? It's all centered around beer. False. They're actually very family oriented. This is a really big event for Munich, and so it's basically like a fair. They have rides, they have food, they have all this entertainment and stuff like that. It's for the whole family. Now, the beer halls probably keep the kids away from that. I'm sure you might see some in there if you stop in for some food and a drink for the parents. I really don't know. Like I said, I've never been there, but it is fun for the whole family. So maybe I can take the whole family, but then I couldn't. I'd have to be more responsible. The thing is, when you have kids, yes, you can go to these family-oriented things, but there's so much more responsibility when you have the kids with you. Now, number 19, despite how popular it is, everyone talks about it. Oktoberfest, we brew the beers here. It's like a really big deal. It seems like a big deal internationally. Actually, only about 19% of the visitors, or 19% of the participants at Oktoberfest aren't locals. So when we think of it here, maybe it's probably Oktoberfest is probably one of those things where we talk about it and we're like, man, we'd really like to get there. That'd be pretty awesome. And then we just never go, which I don't want that to be me. That can't be me. I refuse to let that be me. Number 20 is Oktoberfest is attended by more than 6 million people annually, and it employs 13,000 people. It's free to enter. So you got to think, People are going, they're getting in for free, they're spending more money, they're really boosting the economy. Number 21, Albert Einstein worked at one of the tents. Once worked as an electrician and helped to set up one of the beer tents in 1896. Man, that was a while ago. Einstein, you're old. Well, he's dead too, but Prost, Einstein. Oktoberfest has its very own pop-up post office. Around 130,000 postcards and gifts are sent out each year. So now this one is a little historic. Number 23, glass steins were late to the party. So these right here, not the original thing. The original mugs were made of stone. I really want a stone mug. I like to go to Disney, I like to go to Epcot. They have a Germany pavilion there, and they have some of those. I don't know if they're actually made of stone. I'd have to really check, but there are some very cool looking steins that maybe I'd like for a souvenir. The hard part is you have to transport it. So now you're putting it in a bag, and you're hoping that some dude who works for Delta doesn't throw your bag and bust your stein in transit. And I guess there's ways to protect it, but I don't know. I'd have a really hard time. I'd be worried about it the entire flight home. But first they were stone, then they were metal, and now 1892, we got the glass mugs. Which leads to the next one, number 24. Beer mugs are popular souvenirs. Guests love to take them home. In 2010, 130,000 beer mugs were confiscated and taken back to the tent because people tried to take them home. I don't blame them. When you see something cool, you kind of want it. And if it's not for purchase, they're pretty much telling you the only way you're ever going to get this thing is if you steal it. Now, I'm not condoning stealing, right? But it seems like people find ways to steal without calling it stealing all the time, and it usually hurts all of us. So what's a glass mug, really? I mean, what's one glass mug? What's 130,000 glass mugs? So do what you got to do. Now, this one, now we're getting crazy. We're kind of back to food, but only just briefly, right? Hosts an Oktoberfest, whoever wants to open a food stand at Oktoberfest has to wait over 20 years. There's a 20-year wait list to have a food stand at Oktoberfest. So that's saying once you turn, well, I'm talking in American terms here, but you turn 18, you say, hey, I want to open a fest. When you turn 38, you'll probably be able to open your first food stand at Oktoberfest. That's insane. On to butchering German words. This can be heard all the time at Oktoberfest, but it's not Bavarian. It was just invented by a musician, Ein Prost der Gemütlichkeit. Now, actually, there isn't an English translation for it because it's not even like a proper German phrase. So that's kind of interesting. Number 27, Church and Oktoberfest. The first Thursday of Oktoberfest in the Hippodrome tent, they hold mass. So do what you will with that information. Moving on to number 28. This is going back to the family-friendly thing. So maybe there is some extracurriculars going on with the parents while the kids are there. But they have a lost and found children office on premise. So yeah, some parents are drinking a lot and then they lose their kids and they go to the lost and found office. So that's pretty crazy, but on to 29. Lost and Found collects around 5,000 items each year. Phones, hats, glasses, wallets, shirts, all sorts. I can only imagine. I just know the things that I've lost while I've only been slightly intoxicated. Heck, I can be sober and lose stuff. So, man, when you get all those people around each other, drinking, having a good time, not worrying about anything, I'm bound to lose some stuff. Moving on to number 30, the final fact, even though not all my beer is gone. Paris Hilton is permanently banned from Oktoberfest. Now, this all sprang from her showing up to the event, wanting to promote a brand of canned wine, and she was wearing a golden, shiny Bavarian dirndl. And this upset people, like local organizers, because it's not, the way she dressed offended them. Like, it wasn't to the tradition of the event. So they got together and got her permanently banned, which is a pretty good note to end on, because Paris Hilton, we don't need any of your bullshit anywhere. And I just heard a ad for Paris Hilton's latest single. I forgot the name of it. Let's see if I'll look it up and I'll put it right here. Go listen to it. It's bad. It's real bad. Paris Hilton never deserved any of the fame that she got. Oktoberfest sounds fun. I want to go. Oktoberfest beers are delicious. There's never been one that I've had where I'm like, this stuff's gross. As long as you're brewing it right, and you're brewing it to uphold what Oktoberfest is, you can do no wrong. But that's going to do it for this episode of Half-Assed Beer Review. Thank you for joining me for some facts about Oktoberfest that maybe you don't know, and some that I didn't know. It was pretty cool to learn some stuff about it. Again, I hope to get there one day. If you've ever been there, let me know. Like, it'd be really cool to hear about your experience, what you did, and all that stuff. Is it pretty crazy? Is it crazy? Is it a good time? It seems like it'd be crazy and a good time. So before you go, please check out my friends Banter and Babble every Wednesday nights for the best pop culture wrap up, and my friend Drastin the Dungeon Master Mondays on Twitch for the best Dungeons and Dragons round. I'll put the links down there. You won't be disappointed. And always remember to please keep your fridges full and have a great night.